from?
Datavlt.
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 Yes.
Okay, self-explanatory. So anyway, you know the drill, right? I mean, we are talking to people. I mean, I don't have any idea about your project, which is good, which is on purpose. And these guys, they would never have, read your white paper, maybe pitch deck, but that's not enough. You cannot understand with the pitch deck. And white paper is the same. It's very difficult, even if it's a career. And sometimes, the probability that actually it doesn't, work well is very high. So this is your chance, all right? So
sure.
Just briefly introduce in layman terms, what is your project about?
So,
and you're from Singapore?
Yes, I am. I'm from Singapore. The project name is called Datavlt, and what we do is we are designing a dynamic data analytics engine, secured and integrated with the blockchain technology. Main purpose is to serve out to the mid-tier economies so that they can grow in the digital transformation era into a digitized economy and survive. That's essentially.
I mean, that's a very abstract concept.
Right.
Can you put it in more layman terms?
Okay, so essentially,
give an example.
Example is we're making data analytics absolutely affordable to your SMEs. In terms of how they look at data, how they want to be able to get their data filtered without paying the high cost.
All right.
And this is what we're doing. We're building a service and an engine and also a platform where they don't have to pay an arm and a leg and a few $1 million just to get the data looked at.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's marketing, it's operations, supply chain management, right? I mean, it's just endless, right? I mean, what is your focus area?
So the focus area is actually on business intelligence and MarTech. So we're talking about...
what tech?
Marketing technology. So now it's a new term that a lot of marketing folks call it MarTech because they actually really need to look at data to start looking and understanding more about their customers, where they're at, how they're spending, what's the frequency like, and how to get to them. So a lot of our mid-tier economies, the SMEs that support the local economy, is facing that issue right now where they can't find a stepping stone or services or platforms that can actually help them move their business on.
Right.
And this is a real cause for issue because we don't want to get into a network monopoly situation with only the big companies running the economies. That can't happen.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So before going into your blockchain utility, the most important thing is, you have to secure big data.
Yeah.
And also you have to implement a very solid analytics.
Yes.
How are you going to do it?
So we have data analytics team. I'm very proud of my analytics team.
For how long have you done it? Have been doing this?
So we have been doing this for about 1.5 years. We're fairly new, but we do have background in it. The 3 co-founders, including myself and 2 other partners. So we came from various different backgrounds where we dabbled with data and we know exactly the ins and outs of what needs to be done and how people look at business and how they use data. And that's how we then translate that into an insight or a service to be then provided to the rest of the other businesses out there.
Okay.
It's kind of like doing good with our technology.
Okay, but over the short time frame, it wouldn't have been enough for you to actually accumulate, enough data.
So we don't have to accumulate. We'll talk to enterprises who have but don't know what to do with them. Essentially, what we do is we do the plugins, put it into our engine, let it run, and then work with us. And we can then give you the kind of information that you require.
All right. So. What is the strong point of your analytics then? Because I think that your focus is actually on the analytics, setting up the necessary parameters, and then filtering the necessary data. I mean, what is the strength of your analytics compared to all the other ones?
So what we're doing, the most important point, the black magic part, is the correlation that we're doing. So you can always have aggregated, enterprise data coming in to tell you about frequency trends, and which is the tracker kind of module. What we're looking into is the tracer part. What can we correlate with external information that you can take from outside third-party available sources and match it together with your data? So let me give you an example, right? Now, people would say, a random thing. F&B, for example. I didn't sell well today because it rained. It's a kind of not a business statement that you would make in the boardroom. Right? But it's a reality, right? If it rains, people don't want to travel. If they don't want to travel, or they get stuck in buses, or there's a traffic jam somewhere, they don't get to the place that they want to go to. They give up, and halfway, they'll probably go to a competitor of yours.
Right.
Yeah. So this is what we're talking about. Correlation actually does help to give you more insight into what is happening around your business.
Okay. Yeah. I don't have any challenge against your business model, all right? Because, that's up for the users, all right?
Sure.
And also, the aspect that you're also not kind of accumulating big data, but rather utilizing, the big data is already accumulated, it makes sense, all right? But I don't see, why the blockchain is, important for you.
That's where the cost part comes in. Now, what blockchain does is actually, with the integration of blockchain into this whole entire process. One, it cuts down costs, and I'll tell you how. And two, it makes your data immutable. What this means is, I'll give you an example. If you were in a company, right, and you were a manager of sorts, and you changed bosses maybe 2-3 times in the last 5 years, and the business intelligence guy has changed maybe in 2-3 times also in the last 5 years, and then your new boss comes to you and say, hey, I want you to draw out a report of last 5 years data. Can you please get it to me? And I want you to correlate that. How are you going to get back the same kind of data sets that you've had before if you don't have that data tracking back? Then you can't find the files or whatever the reason is.
Right.
Now what blockchain actually does is, with the raw clean data that we will then make sure that it is stored and tracked, is there. And you will know how it's been filtered, what the parameters were, you will get back the same results. And for any other business, on the long run, that helps a lot, especially when you're putting in artificial intelligence or machine learning into it. It makes the data sharper, because then you're sharpening and fine-tuning the processes of how you're filtering the information.
But do you think your clients will be willing to actually submit the data on the blockchain, which is run by you guys?
So the blockchain,
because usually what happens is actually they don't give you the data, because you have to come in, put the analytics on, like through API, whatever, but you're not taking ownership of the data. But in this case, they can think that actually the data ownership goes to you, or I don't know, maybe
it still belongs to the client. It doesn't belong to us. So let's be clear with that. Now, with whatever the protocols are available today is insufficient. So part of what we do in the company is also to develop the blockchain tech. We're already looking into a hybrid chain versus just the current status quo of a blockchain. You're right to say that probably it's not sufficient, and how are you going to do that? If it's a public thing, then everybody will get to see it, but it doesn't have to work that way. We can make it better. We can enhance the cryptography, make it even more sophisticated. We can actually do more. So, of course, I like to say that we're selling a protocol, but we're not. That's not the point. Data analytics is the point. What we are trying to do is to make it better so it works for the real world and not just for the blockchain world.
You're creating more like a private net for these clients, right?
Yes, in essence, yeah.
Okay, and how's the data actually stored? And then extracted for analytics?
So what we'll do is rubbish in, rubbish out for data, right? So when the data is post-filtered, clean, raw, that gets stored onto the nodes, and then it then gets called out into filtering or into whatever other plugins or whatever that you want to put in as a business. So that makes available.
So the data is decentralized?
Yes, it is.
And when you filter it, that's application, right?
Yes, that's right.
You already have developed it?
Yeah. So we are developing that. We are working on that. And essentially we're testing out a lot of what we've designed with our pilot partners. We do have a pilot partners program right now where we actually get in companies to test with us. And the testing phase will be for the next 1 to 2 years. That will refine the processes before we actually launch the full platform out. So right now, it's not a pipe dream. It's something that we're already working on, and we're really working with real companies with data outside to make that happen.
Okay, then on the blockchain, is the data itself stored, or is it just like a link that is stored?
No, it's stored.
It is stored?
Yes,
okay,
is stored.
And what about the scalability or all those issues? Because it will take up a lot of memories, storage capacity. I mean, how are you going to handle that? Because right now, all the blockchains that came out, actually, they're not working in that sense. Trust me.
Yeah. So that is why there's a lot of collaboration with other teams out there. So I'm not saying that we're taking this whole thing all by ourselves, but we are actually in discussions and exploratory mode and R&D mode with a few other chains to look into this issue. And I'm not saying that we have the problem pat down, but we are definitely serious about it, and we are looking into it. I mean, I absolutely get where you're coming from, but then in order for us to move on, we cannot have something that is centralized and call it decentralized.
What do you think? I mean, there will be a lot of people out there, okay? I mean, after hearing so many interviews from me, because, when it comes to data, I was asking the same question, all right? Because, because all these data analytics companies, they are saying the same thing, but some are actually centralizing the data, which makes very sense.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Under the current environment, they're just like, we are centralizing, decentralization comes later, because right now we are not sure whether we can build it or not, all right?
Yeah.
What is your response?
My response is that is true to the situation. But with the company that for us, we can't just look at it now. If we're solving for now, we're not solving for the future. We need to be solving for the future to go ahead.
Right.
So the centralization, the issue is real. It is real, which is something that we're also looking at, right? Now, for us to then be able to get into a hybrid mode and then get into a decentralized mode is a journey that we all have to take. And this is something that I say we've already begun that, and we understand the challenges out there.
All right.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
are you really 100% sure that you will succeed?
Absolutely, faith.
Okay.
I have to believe in it. If I don't believe in it, I don't understand why I'm doing the project.
What kind of technologies are working on that complicated storage system?
What kind of technologies?
Yeah, brag about them.
Uh,
Because you're confident.
that one I need to ask Benny because he knows.
All right. Okay. All right. Then, all right.
Tech talk is
Okay, let's
actually usually
assume.
him.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying that it's not going to work. All right, because
Yeah.
right now all the projects, like we discussed so many times, they're actually basing everything on the future. All right. That
Yeah.
it's going to happen. Right. So we have to see, whether how it's going to happen.
Absolutely.
I think it's going to happen. Because it's all about technology. And if you need some specialty areas, I mean, there will be expert willing to,
Yeah.
kind of, contribute, the skill set, right? So, and even you will have it, internally, of course.
Yeah.
So, what other usage of the blockchain? I'm not talking about the token utility yet, all right? What other?
So with that, it's also the cryptography, enhanced cryptography part, which is where then we talk about being able to share your information with stakeholders and managers and all that kind of stuff. So you don't have to go in and cut the report 10,000 different ways just to send it to 10,000 different people because they're all in your company, right? This is where the smart contract needs to be more sophisticated, the way that it's been designed, and so that when you finish a report, it goes to, it can be a total report, and then how the machine will know how to cut it into different ways and send it out to the different people. And then this whole entire thing, this is where the blockchain comes in. We're not talking about just specifically,
What do you mean by cutting it in pieces and sending it out to different people?
Your general manager, your stakeholders, and your sales manager don't look at the same kind of data. And within the same company, you don't want everybody looking at everything, right? So this is where it comes in. When you turn out a report, what we're talking about is already being able to identify that. And when you send it out with that technology, what you can do is just send it out to the people what they can see and what they can't see.
All right.
So that's part of the technology, but it cuts down a lot of the processes of you having to churn 10,000 reports.
And then you're going to provide the analytics for each different people?
No, that's where the AI and machine learning comes in. So they will learn the different individual, aspects of what they like to see, what they look at mostly, and that's how it gets delivered out.
All right.
Yep.
And then the artificial intelligence, that's a very vague concept, What's it going to do?
It will learn. It'll learn your patterns. It'll learn what you like, what you look at, what you don't look
Because
at.
right now, I think there's a misunderstanding because, right now the aspect that you just raised is concerning actually the internal reporting process.
Yeah.
It's not marketing.
No, but the whole process first facilitates the marketing part, right? So then let's say if I were to put that in, and then another part of it where we look at correlation, you look at outside external data, how are you going to pull that in? The machine learning, which is basically what artificial intelligence is, will then start to learn what you have seen and what you've pulled, right? Through time, that's where they'll start pulling out more relevant information for you because you've been looking at this kind of information for some time.